Welcome to Zoe Stories. My girlfriend wanted me to crossdress, so I tried it. Ever since I can remember, I've been fascinated by girls' clothes.
I don't know why exactly.
Maybe it was the way they looked, so delicate and colorful compared to my boring boyish wardrobe. Or maybe it was the feeling of softness, the gentle fabric brushing against the skin, making you feel different. When I was a kid, I would stare at my sister's outfits, wishing I could wear them, imagining what it would feel like to be her for just a moment. She was 2 years older than me, always confident, always stylish, and to my young mind, completely untouchable. It wasn't just curiosity. There was something deeper inside me, a longing I didn't understand yet. I remember one quiet afternoon when no one was around. My parents were out. My sister was at her friend's place. I couldn't resist. I tiptoed into her room, heart pounding, feeling a mix of excitement and fear that made my stomach twist. Her closet door loomed in front of me, filled with colors and fabrics I had only dreamed about. I reached in, trembling, and pulled out a small dress she had worn months ago. Along with it, I found stockings and a few other delicate pieces tucked away. My hands shook as I held them, and for a moment I froze, thinking about what I was about to do. I slipped into her dress, pulling it over my head with shaking hands. The stockings went on next, smooth against my legs, a sensation so foreign and yet thrilling. I grabbed the wig, an old black wig my mother had used for Halloween, and placed it on my head. I took a deep breath and stepped in front of the mirror. And that's when it hit me. I no longer saw myself as the boy I had always been. I didn't see Tyler, the awkward, shy kid who always faded into the background. I saw Tina. Or at least, that's what I would later call her. The girl who had existed quietly inside me, waiting to be discovered. The reflection staring back at me was enchanting. The wig framed my face perfectly. The dress hugged my small frame, and for the first time, I felt complete.
Alive. Free.
Hours passed, though I couldn't tell how many. I simply stared at myself in the mirror, touching the fabric, turning, seeing how the dress flowed. I giggled softly, a sound of pure joy I had never felt before. It was magical. Every movement made me feel more feminine, more beautiful, more me. That night, I didn't want to take the dress off. I felt like I had discovered a secret world that belonged only to me. A world where I could be whoever I wanted without judgment, without fear. From that day forward, I couldn't stop thinking about it. Every chance I got, I would sneak into my sister's room, choosing her skirts, dresses, leggings, even her bras and panties. Each time I dressed up, it was like stepping into another life, a life full of color, freedom, and confidence. The more I experimented, the more I wanted to explore, the more I wanted to understand this part of myself. It wasn't always easy. Sneaking around the house brought constant fear of being caught. My parents were strict, and my sister, well, I couldn't imagine her understanding. But the risk made it exciting, a forbidden thrill that made my heart race. One afternoon, I found a box in the storage room filled with old clothes. 2 dresses, her old school uniform with a white shirt, gray pleated skirt and tie, a couple of t-shirts, a black skater skirt, and even an old wig from my mother. My hands shook as I hid the box in my room. That night, I dressed up from head to toe. When I looked in the mirror, the transformation was complete. The wig framed my face perfectly, the clothes fit beautifully, and I felt more like a girl than ever before. I danced around my room, laughed, twirled, and for hours, Tina lived freely. I didn't care about the world outside, about the boy I was supposed to be. All that mattered was the joy, the thrill, the liberation of being her. I continued this secret ritual for weeks, maybe months. Every night was a chance to explore, to live as Tina. Every outfit, every wig, every piece of makeup was a piece of my soul expressing itself. But as much as I loved it, there was always a shadow of fear. What if someone found out? What if I was humiliated, exposed, or punished? Still, the desire was too strong. I couldn't stop. Then one Saturday afternoon, everything changed. My parents were out of town, my sister supposed to be at her friend's place, but she came home early. I was wearing her old school uniform, my favorite outfit, walking around the house, dancing and enjoying every moment, completely unaware of her arrival. I didn't hear the front door, didn't notice the silence that suddenly filled the house. And then, as I walked out of the kitchen, there she was, my sister, staring at me in shock. My heart stopped. Time froze. My face went red, my body froze, my mind blank. She looked at me from head to toe, her eyes wide. Then she started giggling. "Oh my God, what are you doing? Why are you dressed in my school uniform? And is that mom's wig you are wearing?" She laughed, unable to stop herself. I couldn't speak. I tried, but my words failed me. Panic surged through me like wildfire. I felt exposed, vulnerable, small. And yet, her laughter was gentle, playful, not cruel. I just wanted to see how it felt to dress as a girl. I finally managed to stammer, my voice barely audible, my face burning. "How long have you been dressing up? Do you want to be a girl?" she asked, tilting her head, curiosity in her eyes. I blushed furiously and lied, saying it was just curiosity, just that day. She gave me a knowing look, and I felt the full weight of my secret now revealed. I was ashamed, embarrassed, exposed. But she didn't judge me. She didn't scream or tell anyone. She simply said she was there if I ever wanted to talk. And somehow, that small act of understanding changed everything. From that moment, I was too afraid to dress up at home, too scared to share my secret, and the years went by with me suppressing my desires. I watched others online, videos of transformations, secretly yearning to be Tina again, but never daring to step into the mirror as her. When I finally moved out for college, it felt like a whole new world had opened up. For the first time, I had my own space, my own apartment, my own rules. No parents to peek over my shoulder, no siblings walking in unannounced, just freedom. At first, I tried to focus on studies, work, and making new friends, trying my best to suppress the old desires I had worked so hard to hide over the years. But something inside me refused to be quiet. That part of me, the part that loved the thrill of feminine clothes, the silky softness of stockings, the way a dress hugged my body, was still alive, still whispering in my mind. It started subtly. One evening, after unpacking, I found myself staring at my suitcase filled with old clothing, wigs, and makeup I had secretly brought from home. I told myself I wouldn't touch it, that college was a new chapter, and Tina had to stay buried for now. But temptation is persistent. I remember sitting on the edge of my bed, staring at the black skater skirt I had kept tucked in a corner. My hands itched to touch it, to feel it, to wear it again. And before I knew it, I was carefully unpacking the items, laying them out on the bed like precious treasures. That first night alone, I dressed as Tina again. I wore a light pastel dress, matching stockings, my old blonde wig, and some subtle makeup. The moment I looked into the mirror, it felt like stepping into another life, a life that had waited patiently, quietly, for me to return. I twirled around, feeling the fabric move, the wig framing my face, and a rush of exhilaration shot through me. For hours, I experimented, walking around, sitting, stretching, testing gestures, practicing the soft and feminine movements I had secretly admired in others. Living alone gave me the confidence to explore in ways I had never dared before. I spent hours learning about makeup techniques, perfecting eyeliner, practicing blush, and contouring to give my face a more feminine structure. I experimented with wigs, changing colors and styles, brushing them until they felt natural, until I felt like the Tina I always wanted to be. I spent hours online, studying feminine posture, how women walk, how they gesture while talking, how they sit gracefully. Every little detail mattered. Every little practice session made me feel more like a real girl. I also indulged in clothing. Dresses, skirts, leggings, blouses, and lingerie, everything I could get my hands on. Shopping became a hobby, a thrill. I scoured online stores for deals on heels, stockings, bras, and panties. Every package that arrived at my door was like unwrapping a gift, a new opportunity to explore my feminine identity. Slowly, I perfected my transformation, blending the boy I was with the girl I wanted to be. Yet, even in this freedom, I had to be careful. College life meant potential encounters with strangers, friends, and even delivery people. I quickly learned that Tina existed only in private moments, when the apartment was empty, when no one would see, when I could fully let go. But these private moments became the highlight of my days. Sometimes, after a long class or a tiring shift at work, I would come home, lock the door, and transform completely. I would spend hours dancing in my favorite dresses, putting on music, and pretending the world outside didn't exist. It was intoxicating, liberating, and a little dangerous. Every night I dressed as Tina, I felt empowered, beautiful, and completely myself. I started taking pictures and short videos of my transformations. At first, they were just for me, a private record of my progress and experimentation. But as I looked at them, I realized how satisfying it was to see Tina fully formed in the mirror, and I wanted more. That's when I discovered online communities for crossdressers. I created a profile as Tina, carefully crafting my identity, sharing photos discreetly, and connecting with people who understood me. The response was overwhelming. Comments, likes, messages from others like me. It was addictive. For the first time, I realized I wasn't alone. There were others who shared this desire, this passion for exploring femininity, and they were encouraging, accepting, and even inspiring. It didn't take long before I made several online friends. We shared tips, exchanged photos, and discussed fashion, makeup, and wigs. Some were beginners like me, others were experienced, and gave advice on perfecting transformations. It was a safe space, a community that validated me when no one else could. Every interaction made Tina feel more real, more alive, more accepted. Even in my personal life, college brought other distractions and joys. I met Riley, a girl who shared my love for online games and music. We became close friends, laughing for hours, staying up late gaming, and sharing playlists. I really liked her, but I had to keep Tina's secret. The thought of her finding out made me nervous. I hid all my feminine items in a large black storage container, locking them away whenever she visited. My double life was thrilling, but also stressful. Nights became my sanctuary. Alone in my apartment, I would dress from head to toe, putting on bras, panties, dresses, stockings, wigs, and heels. I would practice walking, talking, dancing, and even sitting gracefully. Music would fill the room, and Tina would emerge fully, dancing freely, laughing at herself, and reveling in the transformation. Each session left me buzzing with excitement, my heart racing with joy and desire. One night, after a few drinks with college friends, my desire to become Tina intensified. I came home tipsy, impulsive, and charged with energy. I couldn't wait any longer. I stripped off my clothes, dressed in a pink bodycon dress, matching red lingerie, sheer black pantyhose, and my blonde wig. Even tipsy, I applied makeup carefully, wanting Tina to be perfect. I danced, sang, and recorded videos, feeling alive, feminine, and powerful. The apartment echoed with music and laughter, my secret world in full bloom. As the night stretched on, I indulged in fantasies of being desired as a woman, imagining someone embracing me, loving me, and accepting Tina fully. I felt intense pleasure, a mix of empowerment and vulnerability, realizing just how deeply this part of me had shaped my identity. Eventually, exhausted, I fell asleep in the dress, wig, and makeup still on, feeling like Tina had claimed the night, even if only for a few hours. Morning brought panic. The phone rang. Riley was on her way over, arriving in 10 minutes. My heart raced. My body was tense. I scrambled, removing everything, washing my face, hiding the dresses, wigs, and makeup. The black container locked away Tina's world once more as I hurried to appear normal. The doorbell rang, and I faced Riley nervously, praying I hadn't left any trace of my feminine secret. As she walked in, chatting happily, bringing cupcakes and coffee, I breathed a small sigh of relief. She didn't suspect a thing. Yet, deep down, I knew that Tina would always be a part of me, waiting for the next night, the next chance to emerge. The moment the doorbell rang, my heart practically leapt into my throat. 10 minutes ago, everything was under control, or at least I thought it was. The apartment was tidy, Tina's world hidden in the black container, makeup washed off, the wig tucked away. I tried to steady my breathing as I walked to the door, each step feeling heavier than the last. My hands were trembling slightly, and my mind raced with every possibility. What if I had missed something? What if Riley noticed a stray hair from my wig, a hint of eyeliner, or the faint smell of my perfume? I opened the door and forced a casual smile. "Hey, Riley. Come on in," I said, trying to sound normal, trying to convince myself that everything was fine. She stepped inside, chatting as usual, holding a small box of cupcakes. She smelled like jasmine, fresh and comforting, and for a moment, I forgot my panic. But it was fleeting. As soon as she set the cupcakes down on the table and started making coffee, I tried to focus on her. I laughed at her jokes, responded to her stories, trying to act like nothing had happened the night before. But the tension inside me was growing. Every sound, the kettle boiling, the clinking of the coffee cups, the rustle of the wrappers, felt amplified. I was hyper-aware, scanning the room to make sure nothing was out of place. Tina's wigs and clothes were locked safely, but the fear of discovery lingered like a shadow. Then it happened. Riley screamed my name from the bedroom. My heart jumped. I spun around to see her holding a lipstick in her hand, her face flushed with anger and confusion. Time seemed to slow down, and my mind went blank. That lipstick, it was mine, a detail I had forgotten to hide after last night's escapade. Panic hit me like a tidal wave. "What is this? Have you been cheating on me?" she yelled, her voice shaking with a mix of hurt and rage. My stomach dropped. My whole body trembled, and I couldn't find the words to respond.
No.
"It's not what you think," I stammered, my voice barely above a whisper. My hands shook, and my mind raced desperately for an explanation, anything to calm the storm brewing in front of me. "Then explain it to me. Or else, it's over between us," she demanded, tears welling in her eyes. The room felt like it was closing in on me, the walls tightening, the air thick with tension. I knew there was no way to hide the truth anymore. I took a deep breath, trying to steady myself, feeling my face burn with shame. Every fiber of my being screamed at me to run, to hide, to pretend this moment didn't exist. But I couldn't. I had no choice but to be honest, even if it meant facing judgment, misunderstanding, or rejection. I have to tell you something," I whispered, my voice trembling. I began to recount my story, starting from the very beginning. How, since I was 14, I had felt a fascination with feminine clothing, how I had discovered the joy of dressing as a girl, and how Tina, my secret persona, had become a part of me. I described the private nights alone, the excitement of practicing makeup, choosing outfits, and the pure bliss of fully embracing Tina. Riley listened, her expression shifting from anger to shock, confusion, and finally, disbelief. Every word I spoke made the room feel heavier, but I continued, explaining the careful steps I took to hide Tina from everyone, including her. I told her about the black storage container, the hours spent perfecting makeup, the wigs, the lingerie, the dancing, and the videos I had taken for myself. I confessed everything, my voice cracking with emotion, my hands covering my face at times, ashamed yet relieved to finally speak my truth. After what felt like an eternity, Riley sat down on the sofa, visibly trying to process everything. Her eyes were wide, and her hands fidgeted nervously in her lap. The silence between us was deafening. I waited, my heart pounding, fearing that the next words she spoke would shatter everything. Finally, she asked, her voice quieter now, "How long have you been doing this?" "Since I was 14 years old," I admitted, barely able to look at her. Shame and vulnerability wrapped around me like a heavy blanket, but there was also a strange sense of liberation. I had said it. The secret was out. Tina existed in the open now, and there was no turning back. Riley paused for a long moment, taking in the information. Then, Almost hesitantly, she asked another question. Do you like guys? I had no idea about your cross-dressing desire. Would you have never told me if I hadn't caught you? No. I just like to dress up sometimes. I don't know why. I am not into guys, I promise. It's just very hard to explain. I've tried to suppress it, but I can't. I'm really sorry. I understand if you don't want to be with me anymore, I said, my voice trembling, covering my face with my hands. The weight of years of secrecy pressed down on me, but speaking it aloud made a strange kind of relief wash over me. She was quiet for a long time, and I feared I had lost her completely. Then, slowly, her voice softened, tinged with curiosity. Do you have pics of you dressed as a girl? She asked. My heart skipped. I froze. Could she really want to see? Did she understand what she was asking? Yes, I do, I admitted quietly. But please, I don't know how you'll react. Riley nodded, seeming to collect herself, though her expression remained a mixture of shock and intrigue. There was tension, yes, but also something unspoken, a willingness, perhaps, to understand, to see who I truly was. It was a fragile, delicate moment, like standing on the edge of a cliff, unsure if you'll soar or fall. That night, after she left, I sat in the living room, alone again. My heart was still racing, my mind replaying every word, every expression. I realized that revealing Tina to someone I cared about was terrifying, but it was also liberating. For the first time in years, I had shared the truth, and it had not destroyed everything. I knew there would be challenges ahead, misunderstandings, doubts, maybe even rejection, but I also knew one thing. Tina would always be a part of me, and hiding her forever was no longer an option. That night, I looked in the mirror, not just as Tyler, but as Tina as well, feeling a strange mix of fear, pride, and anticipation for the next chapter of my journey. After the confrontation with Riley, a strange mix of relief and anxiety settled in. Finally, I had confessed the truth to someone I cared about, but that didn't mean Tina's world had become any less complicated. I realized that my secret life was more than just a hobby. It was an essential part of who I was. The problem was balancing it with the real world, college, and relationships. Tina couldn't simply disappear, nor could I suppress her desires forever. Late at night, after everyone was asleep, I would retreat to my room and let Tina come alive.
But now, something changed.
I didn't just want to dress up for myself. I wanted to share Tina with the world, or at least with a safe, understanding community. That's when I discovered social media communities dedicated to crossdressers, boy-to-girl transformations, and feminine self-expression. Platforms like Instagram, TikTok, and specialized forums became my playground. Creating Tina's online persona was a careful, meticulous process. I wanted her to feel real, authentic, yet protected. I spent hours selecting profile pictures, experimenting with lighting, poses, and outfits. Every post was crafted to highlight femininity while maintaining an air of mystique. Tina wasn't just a character. She was a persona I poured love and attention into. I wanted people to see the confidence, beauty, and joy she radiated, even if it was just through a screen. The first few posts received almost no attention. I was nervous at first, worrying that my photos weren't good enough, that nobody would appreciate Tina. But I kept posting, joining online groups, interacting with other crossdressers, and learning from their feedback. Gradually, Tina's presence started to grow. Likes, comments, messages, it was intoxicating. For the first time, I realized that my passion could be shared safely, without fear of judgment from the world outside. I began interacting with other crossdressers online. Some were beginners like me, shy and exploring, while others were more experienced and offered advice on outfits, makeup, wigs, and feminine posture. We exchanged tips, shared transformation videos, and discussed fashion trends. It was like entering a hidden society where everyone understood me completely, where Tina was celebrated rather than hidden. Every interaction filled me with excitement, confidence, and a sense of belonging I had never felt before. Through these online friendships, I met Natasha, a fellow crossdresser who lived only half an hour away. Her profile was charming, full of energy, and she had a warmth that drew me in immediately. We started chatting daily, sharing experiences, makeup tips, and our favorite outfits. She understood the thrill of transformation, the rush of putting on a dress, the joy of high heels clicking on the floor. The idea of meeting Natasha in person was terrifying yet exhilarating. I had never dared to reveal Tina outside of my apartment, and the thought of doing it in front of someone else made my heart race uncontrollably. But the more we talked, the more I trusted her. We decided to meet on a Saturday afternoon, fully dressed, to share our passion for cross-dressing together. My mind was a whirlwind of excitement, anxiety, and anticipation. In the days leading up to the meeting, I prepared meticulously. I practiced walking in heels, applied makeup flawlessly, styled my wig perfectly, and chose the perfect outfit, a cute red summer dress paired with sheer black pantyhose. I wanted Tina to shine, to feel alive, to be seen in all her beauty. Each night, I rehearsed poses, gestures, and expressions in front of the mirror, perfecting the Tina I had always dreamed of becoming. On the day of our meeting, my excitement was almost unbearable. I packed a bag full of feminine essentials, makeup, accessories, shoes, and an extra dress just in case. Every step to Natasha's house was filled with adrenaline, my mind replaying possible scenarios, imagining conversations, imagining Tina finally being free in someone else's presence. The drive was a blur. My heart pounded, and I felt a mix of terror and thrill that I had never experienced before. Arriving at her apartment, I saw Natasha waiting outside, dressed in casual clothes, looking approachable and kind. She greeted me with a warm smile, and in that moment, my fear began to fade slightly. I realized that Tina wasn't just a secret or a fantasy. She was real, tangible, and capable of forming connections. Meeting someone who shared the same passion made me feel alive in a way that hiding alone in my apartment never could. Inside her apartment, we exchanged excited stories, tried on outfits, and experimented with makeup. It felt like two best friends discovering a magical world, laughing, dancing, and sharing our feminine selves without judgment. We took videos, posed for photos, and compared tips, feeling a sense of empowerment and validation that was completely new to me. For the first time, I felt Tina not as a hidden secret but as a living, breathing identity. The experience was intoxicating. I realized that the world didn't have to be scary or judgmental. There were spaces, people, and moments where Tina could exist fully, unapologetically. That day, I walked home with a new confidence, a renewed passion for transformation, and a growing belief that Tina could be a part of my life in ways I had never imagined. That night, I returned to my apartment, spent hours reflecting on the day, and carefully documented every moment. Tina felt more alive than ever, and I realized that this journey was only beginning. College life, online communities, and private adventures had given me the confidence to embrace my femininity, and the possibilities seemed endless. After my first meeting with Natasha, Tina felt more alive than ever. Every interaction, every transformation, every flirtatious comment online or playful moment with Natasha added fuel to the fire of my secret life. But with this excitement came an equal measure of anxiety. College life, my relationship with Riley, and my social obligations demanded that I maintain my male identity, Tyler, while secretly living as Tina whenever possible. It was like walking a tightrope, exhilarating yet terrifying. The days following our meetup were a whirlwind of emotions. Tina now had a tangible connection in the real world, but I had to navigate this double life with extreme care. I would attend classes, study sessions, and casual hangouts with friends as Tyler, appearing perfectly normal, even a little reserved. But late at night, as soon as the apartment was quiet, Tina would awaken. I would slip into dresses, lace up heels, apply makeup meticulously, and let her personality take over. The sensation was intoxicating. The mirror became my confessional, my stage, my escape. Online, Tina's presence was booming. Every post, story, and video drew attention, some from admirers, some from fellow crossdressers, and a few from people who simply loved her energy and confidence. I thrived on the engagement. The likes, comments, and messages gave Tina validation I had never experienced in my male life. But with validation came temptation and challenges. Some messages were flirty, others suggestive, and occasionally, admirers wanted more than casual interaction. I had to learn boundaries quickly, deciding what was safe to explore and what could potentially jeopardize my double life. Riley, meanwhile, remained a constant worry. After the initial confrontation, she had asked questions, listened, and even softened slightly in her judgment. But I knew the line was thin. If she ever discovered the full extent of Tina's world, the late-night videos, the online interactions, the hidden wardrobe, she might not understand. The fear of being exposed, coupled with the desire to be Tina, created a constant tension that hovered over my daily life like a storm cloud. I found myself sneaking out at odd hours to buy new dresses, wigs, and accessories, making sure Riley never suspected anything. Packages were delivered to the college mailroom or to friends' houses when possible, and any purchases I had to receive at home were carefully hidden. Every small act required planning and caution, adding a thrill to Tina's secret existence, but also a pressure I hadn't anticipated. One evening, after a particularly long night of TikTok streaming and chatting with Natasha, I received a private message that made my heart skip. It was from someone who had been following Tina for a while, a crossdresser who admired my transformation videos. They wanted to meet in person, just to share tips, outfit ideas, and practice makeup together. The invitation filled me with both excitement and dread. Meeting another admirer could be fun, but it also risked exposure. My pulse raced as I typed a cautious response, agreeing to meet only if it could be discreet. Meanwhile, Riley's presence at my apartment became more frequent. She would come over unexpectedly, sometimes staying for hours, oblivious to the fact that Tina existed in the very room with her. I learned to time my transformations carefully, choosing nights when Riley was out with friends, or early mornings when she was busy with classes or yoga. Each night that I successfully transformed into Tina without incident added a sense of triumph and empowerment. Natasha became my anchor during this period. We would meet every other week, carefully planning our sessions to ensure privacy. We experimented with outfits, makeup, wigs, and poses, sharing everything from the silliest dancing videos to our most sultry, confident looks. These sessions were more than fun, they were empowering. They allowed Tina to grow, to explore, and to exist without fear, at least for a few hours at a time. At college, I noticed subtle changes in myself. Tina's confidence seeped into Tyler's demeanor. I held my head higher, smiled more often, and interacted with people with a quiet assertiveness I hadn't possessed before. It was almost ironic. By embracing my secret identity, I had become more confident in my public male persona. Yet the fear of being discovered lingered, a shadow reminding me that the balance was delicate. One night, after a particularly liberating transformation, I found myself looking at Riley's photos on my phone. I realized how much I cared for her, how much I wanted her to understand Tina without feeling threatened or betrayed. I thought about opening up further, showing her Tina's videos and photos, but fear held me back. What if she rejected me? What if this was the end of our relationship? The thought made my chest tighten and my stomach churn. To cope, I leaned even more into the online world. Tina became a persona that existed confidently in a space where judgment was minimal and admiration was abundant. I shared outfit reviews, makeup tutorials, and transformation tips, connecting with followers who made me feel seen, understood, and appreciated. Each interaction reinforced Tina's existence and strengthened my resolve to continue exploring her identity, even if the real world didn't yet fully accept it. Despite the thrills and joys, the secrecy weighed heavily. The constant planning, the fear of exposure, and the emotional energy of balancing two lives created a stress I hadn't anticipated. There were nights when I would lie awake, heart pounding, imagining Riley discovering Tina or a package arriving at the wrong time, exposing my secret. The fear was almost tangible, pressing down on me, making Tina's freedom bittersweet. But amidst the tension, Tina thrived. The personality I had nurtured for years grew stronger, more confident, and unapologetically feminine. Every outfit, every makeup session, every online interaction reinforced who she was. She wasn't just a mask I wore in secret. She was a real part of me, demanding recognition, respect, and space to exist. And so, I continued. Tyler by day, Tina by night. Navigating college, Riley, and social expectations while carving out a world for Tina was exhausting but exhilarating. The thrill of living a double life, the excitement of transformation, and the joy of self-expression kept me going, making every fear, every risk, and every secret worth it. Little did I know, the real challenge was still ahead. Tina's life was about to collide with Riley's world in ways I could never have imagined, testing the boundaries of trust, love, and identity. Life as Tina was thrilling, liberating, and at times terrifying. I had perfected the balance, or so I thought. Tyler by day, Tina by night, navigating college, Riley, and the online world with meticulous care. But as with all secrets, the risk of exposure was ever present. One night, I would learn just how fragile that balance truly was. It started as a typical evening. I had spent hours dressing as Tina, wearing a form-fitting lavender dress, matching heels, and a wig styled perfectly. Makeup was flawless. Every contour and highlight accentuated my feminine features. I felt powerful, alive, and utterly Tina. I was dancing to my favorite songs, recording videos, and chatting with Natasha online, sharing every excitement, every outfit choice, every makeup tip. Lost in the thrill of the night, I didn't notice the time passing. My apartment was quiet, the only sound coming from the music blasting through my headphones. I felt free, invincible even, until I heard a soft knock at the door. My heart skipped a beat. Who could it be at this hour? Panic surged through me. Riley? My mind raced. I hadn't anticipated her coming over tonight. Slowly, I approached the door, barefoot on the cool floor, my lavender dress hugging every curve. I peeked through the peephole and froze. Riley stood there, holding her yoga mat, a surprised smile on her face. My stomach twisted. How had she known I'd be here? How could she have come over without me realizing? Every plan, every precaution, seemed to crumble in that single moment. I fumbled for words, trying to mask the panic. Riley, hi, what are you doing here? My voice trembled, betraying my fear. She smiled warmly, but tilted her head. I just finished my evening class and thought I'd drop by. Is Tyler home? Her eyes narrowed slightly, and I felt my pulse spike. She didn't know about Tina, but in this moment, the secret could slip, unraveling everything. Thinking fast, I tried to appear normal. I grabbed a hoodie from the back of the couch and threw it over my dress. My legs, still in sheer tights and heels, felt exposed, vulnerable. I quickly shuffled to the bathroom to pull the wig and makeup off, fumbling nervously as my heart pounded. Every second felt like an eternity. As I emerged from the bathroom, Riley had stepped inside, glancing around the apartment with curiosity. It smells different in here, something sweet, floral? She asked, glancing at me with a faint suspicion in her eyes. I froze, my mind racing. Tina's perfume, her essence, was everywhere in my apartment. The lingering scent of the night, the traces of makeup, the soft fabric of the dress. How could I hide it? Desperation fueled my actions. I grabbed a blanket from the sofa and wrapped it around myself, trying to look casual. Must be some air freshener I tried. I mumbled, avoiding her gaze. My heart was hammering. Every small gesture felt exaggerated, every movement loud. Riley's presence made me hyper-aware of the secret I was hiding, the world Tina inhabited that no one could ever see. Riley walked past me into the kitchen. Want some tea or coffee? She asked. I nodded frantically, hands shaking as I poured water into the kettle. The normalcy of making tea contrasted sharply with the chaos inside me. Tina's world, vibrant, alive, and feminine, was under threat. One wrong move could expose everything. As the kettle whistled, I tried to focus, trying to breathe steadily. I kept the blanket tight around my shoulders, hoping Riley wouldn't notice my heels peeking out beneath it. But then, She laughed softly and said, "You're acting weird, Tyler. Are you sure everything's okay?" My chest tightened. That single comment, innocent as it sounded, felt like a spotlight on my double life. I smiled nervously, nodding. Yeah, I'm fine. Just tired, I guess." My words felt hollow even to me. Tea in hand, Riley sat across from me, scrolling on her phone. The silence was suffocating. I wanted to speak, to divert her attention, but every word felt dangerous. Tina's secret had to remain hidden. I was acutely aware of the lavender dress under the blanket, the lingering scent, the remnants of makeup on my hands. Every detail threatened exposure. Minutes passed, each feeling like hours. My mind raced with contingency plans. What if she saw a heel? What if she smelled the perfume? What if she noticed traces of eyeliner smudged in the bathroom? The adrenaline surged, my body trembling under the pressure of maintaining the facade. And then it happened. As I stood to grab a tea mug for her, the blanket slipped slightly, revealing a sliver of my leg in sheer black tights. Riley's eyes widened for a brief moment, her expression unreadable. My heart stopped. Time seemed to freeze. "Tyler, what's going on?" she asked softly, her tone a mixture of curiosity, concern, and something I couldn't quite place. The blanket tightened in my hands, and I realized I had no choice. Tina could not remain hidden any longer. I exhaled shakily, sitting back down, and tried to steady my voice. "Riley, there's something I need to tell you. Something about me." My hands shook visibly, and I avoided her gaze, fearing her reaction. Her expression softened slightly, waiting, patient yet cautious. "Okay, I'm listening," she said. That night, I confessed everything: the years of secret dressing, the online personas, Tina's identity, and the joy she brought me. I told her about the thrill of transformation, the empowerment, and the private world I had nurtured. Every word was heavy with fear, every sentence charged with anticipation of rejection or disbelief. Riley listened in silence, her eyes wide, processing everything. The apartment was quiet except for the faint hum of the kettle cooling on the stove. I felt exposed, vulnerable, but strangely liberated. The secret I had carried for so long was finally out in the open. After a long pause, she finally spoke. I had no idea. Tyler or Tina, this is a lot to take in." Her voice was soft, cautious. My heart pounded. Would this be the end of us? Could our relationship survive Tina's existence? "I know it's a lot," I said, covering my face with my hands, ashamed yet relieved. I couldn't keep it hidden anymore. "I'm sorry, really. I never meant to deceive you." Riley paused again, then nodded slowly. "I need some time, but I want to understand. You're still the person I like, Tyler, and I guess Tina is a part of you too." Relief washed over me, though a nervous tension lingered. Tina was still alive, still real, and now Riley knew. The world I had carefully balanced was beginning to merge, and the path ahead was uncertain. But one thing was clear: Tina would not be hidden again, and the journey had only just begun. After the confession night with Riley, the air in my apartment felt different. There was a weight lifted off my chest, a nervous relief that Tina's secret was no longer entirely hidden. Yet, the world outside remained an intimidating place. For years, Tina had only existed in the confines of my apartment, in front of mirrors and on social media. Now, with Riley aware of her existence, the question loomed: could Tina step out into the world? The first few days after the confession were surreal. Riley and I spent long hours talking, discussing boundaries, feelings, and fears. She admitted she was curious, but nervous about meeting Tina in public, worried about how people would perceive us. I, on the other hand, felt an uncontrollable urge to finally experience the world as Tina, without the safety net of the apartment or the screen. It started small. I wore Tina when I knew Riley would be out with her friends. A simple outfit, nothing extravagant, just a soft pink blouse, a knee-length skirt, and flats. I styled my wig carefully, applied light makeup, and took a deep breath before stepping out into the hallway. Each step, each motion, felt foreign yet exhilarating. I felt exposed, vulnerable, but alive in a way I hadn't in years. The first time I saw a stranger's gaze linger on me in the hallway, my heart raced. I froze momentarily, panic rising, but then remembered Riley's words. Tina deserves to exist. You deserve to feel confident. With that thought, I forced a smile, walked with purpose, and made it to the elevator. The ride down felt eternal, but when the doors opened, I stepped into the world with my chest puffed out, legs moving carefully in flats, and a heart full of adrenaline. The nearby cafe became my first small adventure. I ordered a coffee, carefully scanning the room to ensure no familiar faces were there. Every interaction, every glance from the barista, every stranger's passing eyes sent a shiver of fear and excitement through me. Tina was alive, interacting with the world, and the experience was intoxicating. I noticed the subtle sway of my hips, the soft tone of my voice when I thanked the barista, the way people smiled when I made eye contact. It was a thrill I had never anticipated. Riley noticed the change immediately. When she returned home that evening, she hugged me and said softly, "You look happy. Different. Like you belong." Her words were both reassuring and electrifying. For the first time, I felt Tina not just as a secret or a hobby, but as a part of myself that could exist in reality. Riley's acceptance, her understanding, added a layer of courage I hadn't realized I needed. Encouraged by this, we started planning small outings together. A trip to the mall, a casual brunch at a nearby diner, a visit to a local bookstore. Each event was carefully calculated to avoid old acquaintances, to maintain a sense of safety while testing the boundaries of Tina's public life. I started experimenting with outfits, slightly bolder colors, different styles, and more elaborate makeup. Each step was a dance between exhilaration and fear. The first time I heard someone whisper and laugh as I passed by was terrifying. My stomach twisted, panic surged, and I felt a rush of adrenaline. But then Riley squeezed my hand, whispered, "Ignore them. You're beautiful. You belong." Her reassurance grounded me. I straightened my shoulders, smiled politely, and continued walking. Tina wasn't going to shrink back anymore. Social media remained a parallel world where Tina thrived. Videos of small public outings, subtle makeup tutorials, and outfit showcases garnered admiration and excitement. Followers encouraged bravery, cheered achievements, and offered tips for improving posture, voice modulation, and confidence. Tina's virtual presence and real-world experiences began to merge, reinforcing each other, fueling growth and self-assurance. However, challenges were inevitable. Some stares were hostile, some comments online were judgmental. I felt a knot in my stomach during each moment of scrutiny. Riley's support became essential, her presence a shield against the fear and self-doubt threatening to overwhelm me. Each outing with her at my side bolstered Tina's confidence, transforming anxiety into empowerment. Back at the apartment, we discussed every detail. Riley asked questions about how I felt, what frightened me, and what excited me. We planned outfits, routes for public outings, and even discussed scenarios for unexpected encounters with strangers or acquaintances. Every precaution was deliberate, calculated, and thoughtful, but it never diminished the thrill of venturing out as Tina. Over time, Tina's confidence grew. Public spaces no longer felt like battlefields of judgment, but arenas where she could exist authentically. I started noticing the subtle power of her presence, the way heads turned, the polite smiles of strangers, the unexpected compliments on hair, makeup, or outfit choices. Tina wasn't just a persona. She was real, tangible, and increasingly recognized by others. Yet, the dual life remained challenging. Tyler still had responsibilities, friends, classes, and Riley's relationship to maintain. The careful navigation between public and private personas required constant vigilance. Mistakes could unravel months of careful planning. Every outing, every interaction, demanded focus, mindfulness, and confidence. Despite these challenges, the thrill of living as Tina in public became addictive. The rush of first glances, the empowerment of smiles, the the subtle recognition from strangers. It was intoxicating. Tina's world was expanding beyond the apartment and online space, merging with reality, and each step reinforced her legitimacy. One evening, after a long day of small errands and socializing, Riley and I returned home. She looked at me, her eyes shining, and said softly, "You've changed, but in a good way. I can see her, the real you."
Tina.
Her words echoed in my mind long after. Tina wasn't a secret anymore, not entirely. She existed, confident, real, and empowered. And with Riley's understanding, her presence could merge with the real world safely, thrillingly, and unapologetically. But the world outside was unpredictable. Tina's first public experiences were just the beginning. Social encounters, unexpected acquaintances, and curious onlookers would test courage, trust, and discretion. And the next challenge was closer than I imagined. The thrill of Tina stepping into the real world had been exhilarating, but nothing could have prepared me for the first moment of serious public scrutiny. That Saturday morning, Riley and I decided to take Tina on a more ambitious outing, a trip to the local shopping center. It was larger than the small cafes or bookstores we had visited, crowded with hundreds of people, a melting pot of faces, voices, and unpredictable attention. I carefully planned my outfit the night before, a fitted emerald green dress that hugged my waist and flared slightly at the hem, nude pumps that made me feel poised, and my long auburn wig styled in soft waves. I practiced walking in my heels repeatedly, mimicking the confidence I had observed in fashion videos and social media clips. My makeup was meticulous, with smoky eyes and subtle highlights that enhanced the feminine contours of my face. Riley's presence was reassuring. She arrived early, wearing casual jeans and a hoodie, her demeanor calm, observant, and supportive. As I opened the car door, my heart thumped violently in my chest. "You look amazing," she said, giving me a quick, encouraging smile. I smiled nervously, gripping the purse in my hand like it was a lifeline. The drive to the mall was tense. Every red light, every pedestrian, every reflection in the car windows made me conscious of Tina's appearance. Riley tried to lighten the mood with casual chatter, but my thoughts were racing. I felt exposed, each passing glance from drivers or passers-by magnifying my anxiety. As we entered the mall, the real test began. The bustling crowd, loud music, and bright lighting made Tina hyper-aware of every movement. I kept my shoulders back, chest lifted, and head high, attempting to project confidence, but every step felt like walking a tightrope. Riley held my hand briefly, a gesture of support that steadied my nerves. The first encounter was subtle but jarring. As we passed a store window, a group of teenagers whispered and giggled, their eyes darting toward me. My stomach twisted, a wave of panic threatening to consume me. I forced a polite smile and continued walking, but the adrenaline coursing through me made my legs feel like jelly. Riley squeezed my hand, whispering, "Ignore them. They don't matter. You're beautiful, Tina." Her words anchored me, reminding me that my presence was valid. We decided to stop at a small boutique, browsing accessories and trying on hats. The act of touching items, adjusting scarves, and mimicking casual gestures felt like a performance, but it was one I was determined to master. The mirror in the store reflected Tina's image, flawless and confident, or at least, what I hoped the world perceived. I practiced subtle movements, flipping my hair, crossing my legs when sitting, adjusting my purse, all the tiny cues that would make Tina appear natural to others. But then came the moment that changed everything. A woman, perhaps in her late 20s, approached while I was examining a necklace. Her eyes narrowed slightly as she looked me up and down. "Excuse me," she said cautiously, "do you work here? Or is this some kind of costume?" Her tone was polite, but her gaze was invasive, searching. My heart dropped. I forced a smile. No, I'm just shopping." The words felt clumsy, inadequate. She raised an eyebrow but didn't press further, walking away slowly, still glancing in my direction. My hands shook slightly as I realized how vulnerable Tina was in public. The world wasn't always accepting, and I had just glimpsed the thin line between curiosity and judgment. Riley noticed my reaction immediately. "Hey, don't let that shake you," she said firmly, placing her hands on my shoulders. "People stare at a lot of things. They're not all judgmental. You're amazing, Tina, and anyone who can't see that isn't worth your energy." Her confidence bolstered mine. I nodded, inhaling deeply, letting the words sink in, repeating them silently. "I am Tina. I am real. I am beautiful." We continued shopping, though my nerves remained taut. Every passerby became a potential threat, every glance a test of composure. But slowly I found my rhythm. I adjusted my posture, walked with deliberate grace, and smiled politely at those who made eye contact. The first initial fear faded, replaced by a cautious exhilaration. Tina existed in the real world, and for the first time, I felt a faint sense of belonging outside the safety of mirrors and screens. The real challenge came when we sat down for lunch. A nearby table of college students began whispering and laughing, clearly noticing me. My hands tightened around the utensils, my heartbeat echoing in my ears. I felt a wave of heat rush to my face, embarrassment threatening to overwhelm me. But Riley reached across the table, lightly touching my hand. "Ignore them. You're here. You're enjoying yourself. That's what matters." Her support was a shield. I straightened my posture, lifted my chin, and smiled politely. Tina's aura shifted subtly. The anxiety remained, but the thrill of living authentically was more potent. I realized that courage wasn't the absence of fear, but acting in spite of it. Each whispered laugh, each curious glance, became a stepping stone, building resilience. After lunch, we wandered through the mall, stopping at various stores. I practiced interactions, asking for sizes, complimenting store clerks, smiling while trying on scarves and hats. Every tiny success, every polite exchange, reinforced Tina's legitimacy. By the time we left, exhaustion mingled with exhilaration. I felt alive, empowered, and more confident than I had ever imagined possible. Riley walked beside me to the car, smiling.
See?
"You handled it beautifully. Tina's real, and the world is starting to see that too." Her words were validation, a lifeline. I smiled back, a mix of relief and pride washing over me. Tina had faced the public eye and survived, and with Riley's support, I knew this was only the beginning. Yet, I couldn't shake the lingering awareness that public spaces were unpredictable. Not everyone would be kind, and exposure could come in a heartbeat. Tina's journey had taken her first major step into the real world, but trials, challenges, and unexpected scrutiny lay ahead. And deep down, I knew that each encounter, each small victory, would shape her resilience and confidence in ways that nothing else could. After the intense experience of venturing into public spaces, Tina felt more alive than ever. But the world today isn't just physical, it's digital. Social media had been Tina's playground, her sanctuary, and her escape for years. Now, with more confidence in public, I decided it was time to merge these worlds, to showcase Tina's authenticity online, beyond just selfies and short videos, to share her real-life adventures as she explored the outside world. I started small, posting a few curated videos of my mall outings. Carefully chosen angles, polite interactions, subtle smiles, light laughter, everything was designed to appear natural and confident. My followers responded immediately. Comments poured in, compliments on my outfit, questions about my makeup routine, and praise for the way I carried myself. For the first time, Tina's presence felt validated both online and offline. The thrill was intoxicating, but so was the pressure. Every post, every video, now carried weight. I found myself obsessing over likes, shares, and comments, analyzing each detail for approval. Tina wasn't just a private identity anymore. She was being watched, judged, admired, and critiqued. The adrenaline of attention was addictive, but fear was never far behind. One evening, I decided to post a video of Tina walking through the park. Her heels clicked confidently on the pavement, her hair glinting in the sunlight, a soft smile on her lips. Riley helped film from a discreet distance, keeping the focus on Tina's confidence and poise. It was a beautiful video, graceful, elegant, and completely authentic. Within hours, the video went viral. Followers increased exponentially, and comments flooded in. Many were supportive, but some were cruel. Judgmental remarks about my body, my voice, my choices hit harder than I expected. The first wave of real criticism stung deeply, shaking Tina's confidence. I had survived public spaces physically, but the virtual world exposed me to a level of scrutiny I wasn't prepared for. Riley noticed immediately. Sitting beside me, she read through the comments, frowning. "Ignore them," she said gently but firmly. "They don't know you.
They don't understand, Tina.
Focus on the people who do, who support you." Her words were grounding, but my mind couldn't escape the sting of negativity. Every cruel comment replayed in my head, gnawing at the fragile sense of security I had built. The next few days were a whirlwind. Notifications kept popping up, some messages of admiration, some of criticism, some even questions about whether Tina was real or just a persona. My anxiety surged. Each ping of the phone became a test of composure. I spent hours scrolling, obsessively checking likes, analyzing engagement, comparing myself to other crossdressers online. The pressure to appear perfect was overwhelming. Riley stayed by my side through it all. She offered support, reassurance, and perspective. "You're amazing," she reminded me repeatedly. "You're not responsible for how other people feel or react. Tina is real because you are real. That's enough." Her words slowly began to sink in, building a shield against the relentless tide of opinions. One day, I received a private message from a stranger, asking to meet Tina in person. My heart raced at the thought. Was it excitement, fear, or both? I knew the risks. Strangers could be unpredictable, dangerous, or intrusive. But part of me craved validation, the thrill of being seen as Tina beyond the confines of my apartment or social media posts. Riley's guidance became crucial. We discussed boundaries, safety precautions, and expectations. I refused to go alone. Riley would be with me, her presence both a shield and a comfort. We planned meticulously. Public spaces, daylight meetings, limited personal information shared. Every step was calculated, balancing the thrill of authenticity with caution. The first in-person online meeting was nerve-wracking. Tina's appearance had to be flawless. Makeup, wig, outfit, and posture all had to project confidence. The stranger arrived at a crowded cafe, and Riley stayed nearby, monitoring everything discreetly. The encounter was brief, polite, and uneventful, but it proved a point. Tina could exist both online and offline, safely and confidently, as long as boundaries were respected. Yet, the viral attention continued to bring challenges. People from my past started noticing posts, friends from college recognized Tina, and even a few acquaintances commented on videos. The dual life became a delicate balancing act. Tyler had responsibilities, friends, and a girlfriend, while Tina had admirers, followers, and an emerging online presence. Every outing, every post required mindfulness, strategy, and emotional resilience. Through it all, Riley remained the anchor. She helped me navigate criticism, manage attention, and retain confidence. Her belief in Tina's legitimacy bolstered my courage, even in the face of relentless scrutiny. With her, I learned to accept that not everyone would understand, and that was okay. Tina existed for herself, for joy, and for authenticity, not to please everyone. As weeks passed, Tina's online presence stabilized. Supportive communities emerged, other crossdressers, admirers, and allies who encouraged growth, creativity, and self-expression. The negative voices didn't disappear, but their impact lessened. Each successful outing, each supportive comment, each interaction reinforced the belief that Tina could thrive both in public and online. The experience was transformative. Tina wasn't just a secret identity, a persona for private moments or social media. It was becoming a real, living part of my life. Confidence, poise, and self-expression were no longer confined to the mirror or apartment walls. They spilled into every interaction, every post, every step outside the door. Yet, despite the growth and victories, challenges loomed. Viral attention, unexpected encounters, and the unpredictability of public opinion meant Tina's journey was far from smooth. Every step forward was paired with tension, every success shadowed by potential exposure. But with Riley's unwavering support, Tina was ready to face it all, head-on, confident, and unapologetically herself. The balance between Tyler and Tina, between private and public life, online presence and real-world encounters, had become a tightrope. Every post, every outing, every interaction was a test of courage, judgment, and authenticity. Tina had stepped into the spotlight, and the world was watching, but she was determined to shine, even if the path was unpredictable, challenging, and exhilarating. Tina's journey into the world, both physical and digital, had been exhilarating, but nothing could have prepared me for the moment the past caught up with me. It happened on an ordinary Tuesday evening. I was out with Riley, strolling through the city center after a casual dinner. Tina looked impeccable, a chic navy dress that hugged my curves, black stilettos that made my posture elegant, and my auburn wig styled in perfect loose curls. Makeup was flawless, blending subtly, yet highlighting the feminine contours of my face. Confidence radiated with every step, or so I hoped. We stopped by a coffee shop to grab a quick drink. The soft hum of conversation, the aroma of roasted beans, and the warm lighting provided a comforting backdrop. I felt relaxed. Tina was thriving in public spaces now. Every glance, every interaction seemed effortless. Riley held my hand discreetly, her calm presence grounding me. Then, out of nowhere, I saw him. A figure from my college days, someone who had known me well before Tina existed. Alex. My chest tightened instantly. I froze mid-step, my heart hammering against my ribs. He hadn't seen Tina yet, but recognition flickered in his eyes. Panic surged as I realized that this encounter could unravel everything. Alex's expression changed from casual surprise to confusion, then curiosity. "Wait, is that you?" he asked, voice a mixture of disbelief and caution. My mind raced. How much did he know? How much had he noticed online? Was he a threat, or just shocked by the transformation? Riley, sensing my distress, squeezed my hand gently. "Stay calm. You've got this," she whispered. Her reassurance was a lifeline, grounding me as I prepared to face a confrontation I had feared for weeks. I straightened my posture, adjusted my hair, and smiled politely.
Hi, Alex.
"Long time no see," I said, keeping my voice steady. Tina's confidence needed to carry me through this moment, no matter how terrifying it felt. Alex blinked rapidly, trying to reconcile the familiar features with the feminine figure before him. I didn't expect this," he stammered, clearly struggling to process what he was seeing. You look different. Amazing, actually, but wow." His tone wasn't mocking, but the surprise in his eyes was palpable. I took a deep breath. "Thanks, Alex. I'm Tina now. This is who I've been exploring for a while." My voice was calm, but internally, anxiety churned like a storm. This was the moment of truth, my past meeting my present. Alex's reaction surprised me. He stepped closer, lowering his voice. "I had no idea. I mean, you never mentioned this before. But honestly, you look great. Confident. Happy. I just didn't see this coming." His eyes softened, and for a moment, relief washed over me. Not everyone would react negatively. Still, the situation was delicate. "I've been careful," I said cautiously, keeping this part of my life private, but I'm embracing it now. Tina is real, and I feel alive being her. My words carried conviction, Tina's confidence bleeding into reality. Alex nodded slowly, absorbing every word. "I respect that. Seriously. It must have taken a lot of courage to live openly like this, even with people you know around. Most wouldn't dare." His admiration stung in a good way, validating the risks and vulnerabilities I had endured. Riley, noticing the tension easing, smiled subtly and interjected, "Tina's amazing, Alex." She's worked really hard to be herself, and it's inspiring. Her words reinforced Tina's legitimacy, reminding both Alex and me that support was just as vital as bravery. Still, the confrontation wasn't without its challenges. Alex had questions. Curiosity mingled with concern. Do people treat you differently? How do you manage online attention? And aren't you worried about judgment? His questions were probing, but respectful, forcing me to reflect on the journey Tina had undertaken. I explained the delicate balance of social media presence, public appearances, and private life. I recounted the first viral video, the criticism, the scrutiny, and the support from friends like Riley. Each word was carefully measured, conveying Tina's struggles and triumphs without oversharing or creating vulnerability. By the end of our conversation, the tension had dissolved into a mix of curiosity and admiration. Alex's acceptance, though cautious, was reassuring. He had known Tyler before Tina, and now he had glimpsed the strength, confidence, and authenticity behind the transformation. Walking away from the coffee shop, I felt an unfamiliar mixture of exhilaration and relief. Confronting someone from my past, someone who could have judged or rejected me, had instead reinforced Tina's legitimacy. I realized that resilience wasn't just about facing strangers or online criticism, it was about reconciling with the past and standing tall despite vulnerability. Riley walked beside me, her hand intertwined with mine.
See?
That wasn't so bad, she said gently. You faced your past and owned it. Tina is strong, and everyone seeing that is just a bonus. Her words echoed in my mind, reinforcing the lessons I had learned. Confidence, authenticity, and self-acceptance were non-negotiable, even when fear and anxiety threatened to overwhelm. That day marked a turning point. Tina had survived public scrutiny, online attention, and confrontation from someone who had known me before my transformation. Each challenge fortified her confidence, each encounter added depth to her persona, and each victory, small or large, proved that authenticity was more powerful than fear. The lesson was clear. The world could be unpredictable, judgmental, or even cruel, but Tina's strength lay in her unwavering commitment to herself. With Riley by my side and the courage to face any confrontation head-on, I realized Tina was not just a persona or an escape. She was an identity worthy of respect, love, and freedom. Even as the city lights glowed around us that night, casting reflections on wet pavements, Tina felt a newfound sense of invincibility. Each step she took was a declaration of authenticity, each smile a testament to survival and resilience, and each glance from the past a reminder that embracing oneself fully could change everything. The thrill of online fame was intoxicating, but as Tina quickly learned, popularity came with its own set of challenges. It started subtly, a few more followers here, a comment praising her confidence there. But soon, her videos were being shared outside her carefully curated circles, and the attention escalated faster than I could have imagined. Tina's charm and poise drew admiration from many, but it also attracted envy, skepticism, and judgment. I remember the day clearly. I had just posted a video of Tina walking confidently down a bustling city street, her heels clicking in rhythm with the upbeat music, hair flowing, makeup immaculate. The video was meant to celebrate self-expression and authenticity, a visual diary of Tina thriving in public. But within hours, the response was overwhelming. Likes, shares, comments, my notifications didn't stop buzzing. At first, it was exciting. Messages poured in from people inspired by Tina, expressing admiration for her courage. But then, the first negative comment appeared, thinly veiled cruelty masked as a question. Are you really a man? This is just pathetic. My chest tightened. The familiar wave of anxiety hit, fear of judgment, humiliation, and exposure. Each new comment felt like a personal attack, a reminder of the risks that came with living authentically. Riley noticed immediately. She grabbed my hand, her touch grounding me as I scrolled through the flood of responses. Ignore the trolls, she said, voice firm but calm. They're irrelevant. Focus on the support and the people who genuinely appreciate Tina. Her reassurance was vital, but the sting lingered. Tina's existence, once a private sanctuary, had been thrust into the unpredictable gaze of the world. Then came the messages. Private DMs flooded my inbox, some curious, some complimentary, others invasive. One in particular caught my attention. A stranger had figured out my real identity. The message was polite but insistent. I know who you really are, and you should be careful. This could get out, and people might not understand. Fear gripped me like never before. Every precaution I had taken, the storage containers, hidden outfits, locked rooms, careful social media boundaries, felt fragile. My mind raced. What if Riley's trust wasn't enough to protect me? What if my past, my family, or my college friends discovered Tina? Panic and adrenaline intertwined, creating a storm that was hard to contain. Riley, sensing my escalating distress, pulled me close. "We'll handle this together," she whispered. Her unwavering support provided a lifeline, reminding me that Tina wasn't alone. I took deep breaths, reminding myself of every step I had taken to safeguard my privacy and emotional well-being. The next few days were intense. I strengthened Tina's online security, limited interactions, and reviewed every post meticulously. The fear of exposure was real, but so was the thrill of connection. Tina had never felt more alive, her confidence tested, yes, but also validated in ways that no mirror or private session could replicate. Even as the online world stirred with mixed reactions, Tina found solace in her community. Supportive followers sent encouraging messages, crossdresser friends reached out with advice, and Riley remained a steady presence, a protective anchor amid the chaos. Each act of kindness reminded me why Tina's existence mattered. Not for fame, not for approval, but for authenticity and self-expression. Then came the confrontation. A well-known online influencer reposted one of Tina's videos with commentary that questioned her identity and mocked her transformation. Within hours, the video went viral, drawing thousands of views and comments, both supportive and critical. The stakes had escalated, and Tina had to respond carefully. I spent hours crafting a response, balancing honesty, confidence, and dignity. I emphasized authenticity, self-expression, and the importance of embracing oneself without fear of judgment. Riley reviewed every word, offering feedback and ensuring that Tina's message was both firm and graceful. When the response went live, the reaction was overwhelming. Support poured in from unexpected corners, reaffirming Tina's impact and reach. But the experience was draining. For the first time, I realized the emotional toll of being a public persona. The scrutiny, the judgments, the constant pressure to perform and look flawless. It was exhausting. Tina had to navigate not only her private desires and identity, but also the expectations of a growing, attentive audience. Despite the challenges, Tina emerged stronger. Each controversy tested her boundaries, resilience, and emotional intelligence. She learned to differentiate between constructive feedback and baseless attacks, to prioritize mental well-being over approval, and to trust the people who genuinely cared for her. The fame had transformed Tina from a private, hidden identity into a symbol of courage and authenticity. But it also reminded me of the delicate balance required to maintain privacy, confidence, and safety. Online recognition was powerful, but it was also unpredictable and demanding. Through it all, Riley remained the constant. Her guidance, patience, and unwavering support were crucial. Together, we navigated the complexities of public attention, social media scrutiny, and personal boundaries. Tina learned that fame wasn't just about visibility, it was about integrity, self-respect, and the ability to rise above judgment while remaining true to herself. By the end of that turbulent week, Tina had grown immeasurably. Confidence, poise, and authenticity weren't just traits, they were survival tools. She had faced exposure, criticism, and controversy head-on and emerged stronger, more resilient, and more determined than ever to live authentically. The digital world was vast and unpredictable, but Tina had learned to navigate it with grace, courage, and unwavering self-belief. The lesson was clear: authenticity attracts both admiration and scrutiny. The path is never easy, but the rewards, self-acceptance, confidence, and genuine connection are worth every challenge. Tina had stepped fully into the spotlight, and there was no turning back. After weeks of navigating online fame, public scrutiny, and private fears, Tina finally reached a turning point. The journey had been thrilling, exhausting, and at times terrifying, but it had also been transformative. Tina had grown from a private, hidden persona into a confident, resilient, and fully realized identity. She had faced judgment, criticism, confrontation, and temptation, and she had emerged stronger, wiser, and more self-assured. It all began with self-acceptance. I realized that hiding Tina, or trying to suppress this part of myself, had only caused anxiety, shame, and confusion. Accepting Tina as a real and valuable part of my life, rather than a secret or a hobby, was liberating. For the first time, I didn't feel like I was living a double life. Tyler and Tina weren't enemies or rivals. They were parts of the same person, coexisting and enriching my life. Riley played a pivotal role in this realization. She had seen Tina in private and public, online and offline, and she never judged, never questioned, and never pressured. Her unwavering support gave me the courage to embrace Tina fully. One evening, as we were sitting on the balcony watching the sunset, she took my hand and said, "You've come so far. Tina isn't just a persona, it's you, and I love seeing you happy and confident." Her words hit me in a way I hadn't anticipated. Love, understanding, and acceptance, they weren't just abstract concepts anymore. They were real, tangible, and powerful. I realized that Tina could exist fully, not just online or in private, but in every interaction, every moment, every relationship. The next challenge was balance. Fame, online attention, and public curiosity were exciting, but they were also consuming. I had to learn how to navigate these pressures while maintaining mental health, privacy, and emotional stability. Tina needed boundaries. I limited social media activity, filtered comments, and prioritized interactions with people who were supportive and understanding. Each decision reinforced Tina's control over her life, reminding me that authenticity didn't mean vulnerability, it meant empowerment. Love also found its place in Tina's world. Riley and I grew closer, navigating the complexities of our relationship while embracing my cross-dressing. She learned the nuances of Tina's life, makeup routines, fashion choices, social media interactions, and she didn't just accept it, she celebrated it. Our bond deepened through shared experiences, trust, and vulnerability. For the first time, Tina didn't have to hide, explain, or justify her existence. There were moments of vulnerability, of course. Occasionally, I would catch glimpses of old fear, the anxiety of being judged, exposed, or rejected. But these moments no longer controlled me. Instead, they reminded me of how far I had come, how much resilience I had built, and how essential support, love, and self-acceptance were in navigating life as Tina. Public appearances became more comfortable. Walking down streets, entering cafes, or attending events as Tina no longer induced panic or paranoia. Confidence was natural, graceful, and radiant. People's reactions varied, of course, but Tina had learned to filter what mattered and what didn't. Criticism no longer held power, while genuine appreciation became a source of encouragement and motivation. Online, Tina thrived. Carefully curated posts, genuine interactions with followers, and collaboration with supportive crossdresser communities allowed Tina to share her life and experiences authentically. The journey had taught me the importance of boundaries, consent, and emotional self-care. The digital world was vast, unpredictable, and at times challenging, but Tina had learned to navigate it with grace, intelligence, and resilience. Perhaps the most profound realization was understanding the power of authenticity. Tina wasn't just a name or a persona, she was a testament to courage, self-expression, and self-love. By embracing Tina fully, I had discovered strength I didn't know existed, confidence I had never felt, and joy that came from being unapologetically myself. Riley's unwavering support reinforced this reality. Our relationship flourished, built on mutual respect, understanding, and celebration of individuality. She encouraged Tina's growth, celebrated milestones, and provided comfort during challenges. Love, trust, and authenticity, these became the pillars of Tina's life. Looking forward, Tina had dreams, ambitions, and goals that extended beyond social media and personal exploration. Tina wanted to inspire others, to show that being true to oneself was not a weakness, but a strength. Sharing experiences, connecting with others, and promoting understanding became a new purpose, one that extended beyond personal fulfillment to community impact. In private moments, Tina continued to indulge in feminine rituals, makeup, fashion, self-expression, but these were now joyous, self-affirming, and free of shame. The fear of judgment no longer dictated choices. Instead, empowerment and authenticity guided every decision. The journey had been long and challenging. From secretive experiments with my sister's wardrobe to confronting online fame, public scrutiny, and intimate fears, Tina had grown in confidence, resilience, and self-awareness. Every struggle, every risk, every moment of vulnerability contributed to the strong, radiant person she had become. Ultimately, Tina's story is one of transformation, courage, and self-love. It's about embracing one's true self, navigating challenges with grace, and finding love and acceptance in unexpected places. Tina had stepped into the world unapologetically, fully, and authentically, and in doing so, she had discovered the power of being wholly, brilliantly herself. As the sun set on another day, Tina looked into the mirror, smiled, and whispered, "This is who I am, and I'm proud of it." For the first time in a long time, there was no fear, no shame, and no doubt. Just authenticity, love, and freedom. Tina had arrived, and she wasn't going anywhere.